thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Watch. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi with meteorologist Danielle Grant, who you just saw on the 9 News at Noon show.
Yes.
We've been tracking the snow.
It's been an exciting one, to say the least.
Yeah, hard to forecast. We're going to get into more on that here in just a second.
Quite difficult.
We had, first of all, a big snowstorm.
Yes, absolutely, especially for the beginning of February. Here we are kind of diving into the month, and wow, so many places picking up. I mean, anywhere between about 8 to 14 inches on the higher side. And then there's DIA, which we will dive into further. They did not get much.
Yes, I do hope that Bobby is bleeping this. No, I'm just kidding. But when it comes to DIA, we'll show you the total there from just a second.
Really
but it's obviously really unrepresented. By the way, nice to see a million of us there.
Yeah, we just keep going off into the universe.
The abyss.
The abyss.
So from there, by the way, thanks again for joining us. Let's get into some of those views right around the area. By the way, still some pretty decent snow up by the Eisenhower Tunnel.
Low visibility, too.
Yeah. I mean, that might be a mile visibility right now, so that's probably still accumulating.
Yeah, looking good on the slopes, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Don't you wish you were out there?
Totally. Fort Collins, not bad. I mean, it looks like campus is shut down for business today. Snow day out there?
I think everyone got one today.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Fort Collins got 10. I think
Yep.
10 inches up in Fort Collins. So
Very impressive.
good snowstorm there. Good snowstorm here. I think downtown we ended up about 8.
Yeah, when I went out to the backyard around noon, we had 9 inches. So not a bad storm. And, we've been kind of begging for this. We've been talking about the drought. We had, obviously, the awful wildfires the end of December. So we desperately need to see any kind of precipitation we can get our hands on. And Mother Nature certainly performed with this one.
We got it. Now the storm is moving out.
Yep.
I mean, I think we're pretty much done with accumulating snow at this point.
Yeah, we have that advisory in place until about 8 o'clock or so tonight for Denver, but the heaviest snowfall already on the ground. Maybe an inch or 2 tops. But yeah, for the most part, it's just the beautiful little flurries that are still kind of flying outside of our window as we take a peek. But I think the evening drive should be a lot better. And then the bitter cold.
And then the bitter cold. So we're now kind of transitioning to more of like a cold focus. I will say this, part of the advisory is because of the fact that there's a lot of melted snow out there, and so that could lead to patchy black ice. So just keep that in mind, that it may look like it's kind of pavement, especially after dark, so just keep in mind there's black ice out there.
And that could even linger into tomorrow morning, because we're not expecting our temperatures to be warming up truly anytime soon. But wow. As we look at these 24-hour snowfall totals, I mean, who would have thought Commerce City, east of I-25, would be the big winner out of this?
Oh, we were all predicting this last night, as you've seen. Just kidding. Nobody. By the way, Commerce City, this might be the first time ever, I think, that I've ever seen them topping the
charts.
Commerce City coming in first place with 13.6 inches. Sunshine, that is in the foothills outside of Boulder. A little over a foot out there, and Boulder itself a good foot. That was what we were kind of thinking, is that Boulder, the bullseye would be in the foothills.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, it's still snowing up there and probably still accumulating in the foothills, that we may add a bit more in the foothills, another inch or 2 up that way. We come in with a good maybe 14, 15 inch total up there. East side of Denver, we had that band. We'll get more of that in just a second. 11.6 here on the east side of town.
Just tremendous, these snowfall reports that are coming into us. And as we will show you, it was really interesting to see the sharp gradient from the west side of town to the east side of town, or even just from Commerce City to DIA.
I mean, that's stunning.
Yeah.
That's obviously, I mean, if you're new to Denver, this is all east of I-25. So this is Commerce City over DIA. That is, I don't know, I've done that drive a million times. 10, 15 minute drive. You live out that way. So it's, this is a short distance and nearly a foot of snow separated by 9 miles.
Yeah, we did the math on this one. 9 miles and close to 11 inches difference. And it was all because of those really strong bands that set up, around midnight, 1 a.m. and just didn't stop.
And by the way, kids, not to necessarily push you out of meteorology, but needless to say, this is a little tough to forecast when you're talking about a 9-mile differential between 11. This kind of reminds me of lake effect snow, where you get these really narrow bands. So, Danielle, I mean, this is what we saw overnight, this kind of narrow band of snow that pivoted across the metro area but entirely missed the airport.
Yep. From the east to the west. And as we kind of loop and zoom in to HG Doppler 9, right now it's kind of heading out toward noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, where we are right now. But look at that. just those darker bands of blue, indicating just how heavy the snowfall was. And again, the timing of that really was from about 1 to 4, 5 a.m., where we saw 2 to 3 inches of snowfall an hour. That is unreal.
Unbelievable. Absolutely. I mean, per hour.
Yeah, unbelievable. But it was all about, forecasting where that band was going to line up. And a lot of us thought, that was going to be west of I-25, and just not the case with this one.
No.
I mean, certainly west of I-25 saw some really good snow, but Commerce City, definitely a shocker for sure.
And this is the part of the snow that we're looking at, the storm that we're looking at here, that I suppose performed unusually. This is, I think the rest of it, again, west of I-25, along west, we ended up with a good 6 to 12 inches.
Yep.
This was the unexpected part, where Commerce City getting nailed by this band again between about, as you mentioned, I think it was about 1 to 5 a.m. or so where we saw that. That said, the paltry 2.7 inches of snow officially here at DIA, a story for another day, maybe a few drinks, would be to narrow that down. But we now picked up about 21 inches worth of snowfall, which I think is pretty impressive considering we started the season with basically nothing until New Year's Eve.
Mid-December, we finally got that first snow, and then really it didn't ramp up until January. So, I mean, these really are just numbers out at DIA, but what we'll be able to see in the drought monitor coming up tomorrow and then next week, once we really get all the data in, I think we'll see some really great improvements from this, because yes, DIA saw 2 inches, but the rest of us saw so much water come through with this storm. So, DIA.
Speaking of DIA, by the way, the city park observation site ended up with 9.5 inches from this, which is the Central Park one, I should say. The Central Park observation site ended up with 9.5 inches worth of snowfall from this, and that used to be the official climate site for Denver. So obviously it's a much more accurate representation of what we actually saw in the city. So the official total, again, don't let that mislead you. That's not, Danielle or I have nothing to do with the fact that the observation site is officially at DIA. That's the Weather Service.
Yes, not our, I guess it is maybe our bone to pick, but we don't unfortunately get to have any sort of say in that, so to speak. But right now, Chris, we're still seeing a few flakes flying out at DIA. Temperatures have been holding steady, right about 12, 13 degrees, but those winds are starting to kick up out of the east-southeast, 11 miles per hour. That really isn't bad, but look what it's doing to the wind chill, and that's going to be the big headline late tonight.
Yes, and so I know we've been focusing on the snow. That obviously tends to grab the headlines here, but this is the real story, and this is the kind of impactful thing of all this, is it's going to be so cold from the system. And by the way, 2 days ago at this time here in Denver, it was 60 degrees. Now we got a -2 wind chill. I mean, hey, that's Colorado weather, but look at
across the entire state.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eastern Plains already going sub-zero as far as the wind chill values are concerned. Leadville, I got to squint. Yep, 15 below. Ouch. So yeah, this, the first headline was all about the snow, and now this afternoon into the evening, the headline turns to the frigid temperatures and the fact that we got to bring those pets inside tonight. It will be interesting too tomorrow to see if any schools do a delayed start just because of the cold. You think about those kiddos waiting for the bus, in the 5 below 0 degree temperatures. So we'll see as the evening wears on.
Denver averages 7 days below 0 per year, so there's nothing that unusual.
Of course you have those statistics just in the back of your head to whip out, Chris.
Just trying to impress, obviously, but no, we average 7 days below 0 per year, and the reason I bring that up is I think that number goes down to only about 2. When we only average about 1 or 2 days per year where we average a low temperature of -5 or lower. So normally when we drop below 0, it's kind of -1, -2, and that's not to mitigate that, but it's pretty rare to get this cold. I mean, again, it's not record-setting. It happens a couple times a year on average, but again, this is that once or twice a year kind of cold.
Where it just hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts when you walk outside. You know what? The Eastern Plains actually are under a wind chill advisory. Perfect. It starts around 11 o'clock tonight. It'll go till 11 a.m. Wind chill values certainly below 20, 25 below.
Ugh.
So, yeah, ouch. You think about all the cattle and stuff that's out there. Our farmers, ranchers, making sure everybody stays toasty out there. And it also looks like the San Luis Valley included in that as well.
Yes.
We just got that posted for the wind chill advisory.
Good spot. And by the way,
Cold spot.
cold spot. Yeah, exactly. Not a hot spot. We both have dogs that love the snow and love the cold. But you know, I'm just telling you, even though it's gonna be tough, it's like kind of bringing in a kid at the end of I don't know, a long Saturday or something and playing sports with their friends. My dog is gonna want to hang out in the cold and the snow all night, but she's coming in.
Oh yeah.
Quickly, and I'm sure you same
Hop
with
on the bed, warm you up. Couple of blankets, that's for sure.
Well, from there over to kind of a broad view. So you've probably heard about the fact that a lot of the country is getting impacted by this winter storm. And the fascinating part about this is there are quite a few delays at Denver International Airport right now. And most of them have little to do with what's actually happening here. It's because St. Louis, Chicago, which is of course a huge hub, Indy is going to get a huge storm. Dallas, Oklahoma City getting blasted with snow. Yeah.
Potentially ice down there too.
Schools closed, all that.
Yep, it looks like a mess, and this is just kind of the beginning as the storm system charges off to the East Coast late tonight into tomorrow. Again, we still have a few lingering flurries, especially east of I-25, the Eastern Plains, a few around the Denver area, but looking out toward northwestern Colorado, like Craig, Meeker, Steamboat.
Beautiful day.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's sunny over here. What? The Front Range is totally buried in snow? So all about location today.
Absolutely, and again, hopefully Grand Junction, our friends in the Western Slope, enjoying your beautiful sunny day, while here in Denver it's 12 degrees with a -2 wind chill, and it has been snowing for about 18 hours in a row. Ooh.
Yeah, so I went 10 below, just because I think with any kind of clearing that we get, we're going to drop, and we're going to drop really fast with all the fresh snowfall cover. Winds relatively light. That's a pretty good reasoning to think that we're just going to go low, low, low. And then the wind chill values too, really hurting, 20 to 25 below what it feels like when you walk outside. So just kind of keep that in mind, at least through tomorrow midday before the temperatures warm up.
This is dangerous cold. This is when, frostbite kicks in after 15, 20 minutes. So needless to say, I cannot imagine you want to spend a lot of time outside tonight. I personally I will run when it gets down below zeros when I stop running outside. I'm serious about that, but like once it gets below zero, it's like,
what am I doing out
here? What am I doing out here?
Yeah,
exactly.
Totally. This map I don't think quite representative of the Eastern Plains. I think those numbers are going to be a bit cooler, but it's not just us. Look at Steamboat, 11 below, 4 below in Winter Park, Gunnison, 17 below. So those low-lying valleys also going to drop.
And that's where that cold air, that heavy cold air just drains in.
It's like a little pocket. Pocket of cold air. Looking nowhere to go. You can see our hand motions.
Yes. Hard to convey that when you got the map overhead, but you get that. And by the way, another thing for our friends in Gunnison, Kremling, where it's been so cold, Steamboat, that cold air is very hard to get out of there because it, again, drains down to these little pockets, as you were saying there, Danielle, and you have to get winds to mix down from the higher levels to mix out. Long story short, that's probably going to stay cold in those places for a few days.
At least through the weekend before we finally start to see more seasonal temperatures, because tomorrow, bitter cold around here, even with the clearing. So, as we're watching the future cast go till about 6, 7 o'clock, everything kind of clearing out. Still a few lingering showers. By 11, we're pretty much done with the snow. Might see a little bit of patchy fog out there, the usual suspects, the South Platte River Valley into Weld County. But that sunshine that we do see tomorrow, cosmetic. Yeah, it is not going to be a toasty Thursday by any means. I mean, we barely climb out of the teens into the low 20s.
It's going to be a struggle to get to 20 tomorrow.
A struggle, for sure. That's why my forecast high is 19.
19? All right. So we got 19 degrees for tomorrow. I mean, so if we stay, in the teens for your day tomorrow, again, this is unusual, pretty dangerous cold, I think, even through the day tomorrow. It does moderate pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, high pressure rolls back in, and so that's going to give us a break, kind of sends our storm off to the East Coast. But again, as we said, tomorrow, even with the sunshine, these numbers are going to be just downright brutal.
That is not fun. And again, kicking the wind chill, statewide, not a whole lot of fun for your day tomorrow.
I mean, everyone pretty much teens and 20s across Colorado. So tomorrow's still a cold day, but at least we'll have the sunshine. I mean, we won't be doing any melting, that's for sure, but the sun will be out. Glass half full, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
it's the day after Groundhog Day. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but we're going to mention that anyways.
It's still looking like winter and feeling like winter, as Punxsutawney Phil He's going to take our job someday, Chris. The guy's saying 6 more weeks of winter, and I believe it.
I mean, in Colorado, I think we should do that on April the 1st and
Yeah.
see if we're going to have the 6 more weeks of winter. But
That's how we roll around here.
on the East Coast, they do on February the 2nd because they don't get a foot of snow each April. All right, speaking of which, it's going to actually kind of start to feel spring-like by this weekend, isn't it?
Moderate a bit, definitely. I mean, looking ahead to the weekend, pretty seasonal. But then next week, I mean, back to the low 50s, some sunshine. That is when we're going to start to do the real melting around here. And we got a lot to melt.
Yes, we do. I mean, especially in Commerce City. I mean,
Yes, and especially if you have those north-facing backyards, front yards, driveways. It takes a while.
mine didn't even melt at all, really.
Yeah,
My
from the last
north-facing
storm.
from the last storm,
Yeah.
and it was again 60 here on Monday, and it was still a sheet of ice. I was like slipping on ice. I actually, fun fact, probably shouldn't admit this publicly, but I will. Is I completely slipped on ice and fell on Monday in the middle of a 60-degree day. I mean, I'm fine, but I do have some battle scars. I don't know how I'm gonna make it through, but I don't know if you can see these.
Show the people.
This is horrendous here,
Yeah,
but I'm not sure you can see
scratch.
it. Can you see them?
Yes, a little bit.
So
Well, be careful with the messaging. Is be careful when you walk outside, because certainly there could be some icy spots underneath all of that snow once it does slowly melt.
absolutely. So well, any
was
final
fun.
thoughts? Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yes, to tag team, double the meteorologists, double the fun. Hey,
Double the expertise.
yeah.
There you go.
Well, I guess now we're just waiting for Chief Meteorologist Kathy Saban to get in. She'll be here soon, and we'll be tracking the rest of the forecast and the bitter cold that we have tonight, starting at 4 o'clock.
Absolutely. She'll be on at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 tonight with
All
more on
night
this.
long.
All
Yeah.
night long. But anyways, meteorologist Danielle Grant, meteorologist Chris Bianchi, thanks so much for joining us here. And hopefully this has been insightful about this winter storm and all the cold that's to come. But thanks again for joining us.
Stay warm.